Colorism is defined as discrimination within one's racial group, based on the complexion or tone of their skin. The concept of colorism dates back to the institution of slavery. During slavery, the light-skinned slaves were used for a much lighter labor, while the dark-skinned slaves were used for a much harder labor, which created a divide within the African-American race. Within Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eyes, the main character Pecola despises her skin tone and begins to idolize Shirley Temple for her blonde hair and blue eyes. Pecola internalizes the criticized images of African-American women. She cannot value her blackness and desires to be white in order to escape the pain of being black, female, poor, and a child. Pecola's image of herself as ugly was first imposed on her by her mother Pauline, who possessed the same self-hatred and therefore did not know how to love others, which created internalized trauma within Pecola. A traumatic experience impacts the entire person. The way we think, the way we learn, the way we remember things, the way we feel about others, and the way we make sense of the world are all profoundly altered by traumatic experiences. This short documentary will show the conversations of colorism as told by college students, their ideas, their thoughts, and their experiences. Without further ado, I present to you Shades.
Colorism to me is discrimination in the black community based off the shade of your skin.
Just because you look different, the majority of the time, like, you're naturally gonna have competition.
When I think about colorism, I think about negativity, to be honest.
To me, colorism means basically it's a way to divide and conquer a group of people.
Colorism to me means kind of black people pitting themselves against each other.
About how people label or define beauty and what beauty looks like.
I guess colorism means just like discrimination based on the complexion of someone's skin.
Having a preferential treatment for the light-skinned than the black-skinned shouldn't be allowed, because there is beauty in black. Black is actually the first to be created, and there is beauty in being black. And black should be proud.
I think it's when fairer skin is seen as more aesthetically pleasing, whereas darker skin is seen as less aesthetically pleasing. And I think it is a divide, like you said, because it does separate two sections of people, where it's kind of team light skin and team dark skin, and they're given like stereotypes and yeah, like they're given stereotypes as to what, oh, you said this because you're light skinned, or you did this because you're light skinned, and it's kind of a division within the race itself.
Whites being seen as a majority, they're the one who kind of set the agenda. And so, of course, when when slavery was happening and other things were happening, to see in black people something that's kind of closer to their complexion, it's easier for them to accept it. So,
people being racist or having their own prejudice against their own race. Black people being racist, having their own fights against each other, the light skin, dark skin versus each other.
One time, being in I think middle school or early high school, I was talking to my parents and I was like, my body structure is I'm bigger. And so I felt like, being this big, black, dark guy, I kind of come off as aggressive as some. And I remember talking to my parents feeling like, maybe if I was a little bit lighter skin, it wouldn't be like that. Or if my hair was a little bit curlier, then maybe it would be better that way. Even my eye color, I remember going to those Asian stores and getting contacts just to have a lighter hazel eye, because I'm thinking this might make me feel better about myself. So
I think my dark skin is something that I had to love about myself. It's not something that, I think when you're bombarded with media images of women that don't look like you, and they're seen as beautiful, I think it kind of has an effect on the security you have within yourself. And I think that was just something that I personally had to come over.
Because the way I grew up, my mom never, thrust any of those things about being dark skinned. In fact, she made me, kind of assure me from being young enough that it was okay to be dark skinned. So, when kids would say it, I didn't realize it. But in hindsight, when I look back at it, I can't remember instances in which people tried to put me down because of that.
It doesn't matter if I'm dark skinned, you're light skinned, this person white, this person dark, tan. It doesn't matter. We're all people.
I feel like white people can more identify with a lighter skinned person because it's so much closer to their skin. And even I hate to take it all the way back to slavery, but that's kind of where it started and where it was engraved into our communities.
Come on, Kendra.
Can you not start? So I feel like, they were put in the house and the darker ones were put outside and we had the more labor jobs, and I feel like that is where all of that started. So it goes to show in film, in our community, and whatever it is, that light skin is better because that's kind of just what's been engraved in our community. And we as a people have to come out of that, and we've come a long way, but whether it's film, whether it's everyday life, I feel like that's where that generally comes from.
Because of slavery. Because somebody, I hate to say it, the white man went and told us, you're light, you're dark, you belong in the house, you belong in the field because you're dark and you can get darker. The sun, it doesn't matter. You can be out there in the sun getting darker. This person is light. They're closer to white, so they can be in the house.
I think it just kind of stems from, I guess, if we're gonna go there, we might as well go there. It stems from back in slavery, where if you had fairer skin, you probably would be inside the house, whereas if you had darker skin, you'd be outside.
Because just darkness has always been perceived as evil. It's this place where there's no light, and so of course that's fear. That I feel like that blackness comes with it. So of course when it's darker, you tend to fear it more, and so people feel like it's easier for a darker male to lurk in the dark and to do more evil things than where it is for a lighter person. That isn't the case. So
I'm in a fraternity, and so back in the day they kind of chose you dependent on your skin color. And so the darker skinned girls were known as the harder ones in the sorority, and the lighter skinned girls were known as the nice, pretty ones. So I mean, I guess I know what you're saying, or I get what you're saying, but I don't understand why that is, to be honest. I mean, but I guess because, like I said before, if you're darker, you're just harder.
It's even went so far into fraternities and sororities. Well, mainly in sororities, the AKAs, for example, were considered to be all light skin, or there's a rumor. Well, I don't know if it's a rumor or not, because people said it's actually done. Back in the day of the paper sack bag, you have to be lighter than that to be an AKA. Most of the deltas were darker skin, but
I actually had an encounter with a fraternity, guy, and he told me that he'll do the paper bag test to, and I know what that is, the paper bag test to date a girl. So that really, in this day and age, you would really say something as
this
ignorant.
Is recent?
Yes, last year, as as ignorant as that, to say that you do the paper bag test, and if a girl is darker than a paper bag, then you don't date her. So it really shows me. I mean, people just, and I'm not gonna say it's everyone within our race, but it definitely is alive and well, that these things still.
Because I would always get told, oh, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And even that, it's a backhanded compliment. It's not necessarily, oh, I think we should just say, oh, you're pretty, or oh, I think you're a beautiful person, or whatever the case may be. But that is something that I had to learn to love about myself. That is something that I had to accept about myself, because in my mind, it was considered a flaw. I guess.
I mean, I hate it, but I mean, it's everywhere. So, I mean, it's on social media. It's people say it, and I hate it because it's like, why can't I just be pretty? I don't say you're pretty for a white girl or you're pretty for whatever you may be. If I think a girl is beautiful or a male is handsome, I just say that. I don't just say, oh, you're pretty for, I mean, you're handsome for a light-skinned guy. You know, so why does it always have to gravitate towards the dark-skinned person? Oh, you're pretty to be dark-skinned. I've never heard someone say, oh, you're pretty to be light-skinned. So I hate that saying.
Someone telling me I'm pretty for a dark girl. That is not a compliment to me because I'm pretty for a dark girl. If I'm pretty, I'm pretty. It doesn't matter what color I am. Me being a dark girl, okay. If I was lighter, would I not be pretty? If I'm dark, am I pretty? Like, that's a half-ass comment. Like, if I'm pretty, leave it at that. My skin tone doesn't have anything to do with it. If you don't think dark-skinned girls are usually pretty, like, maybe you just shouldn't compliment me. Maybe you should just leave that to yourself, because I'm pretty sure, I'm going to let you know that's a quick way I'm just probably going to go off.
Beauty in the eye of the beholder. Like, so, like, who's ever, like, viewing that person at a time, at a certain moment, might see them as beautiful or not beautiful. Oftentimes, it can be, like, based on, like skin color, I mean, sadly. But that's not the way I view color. I see beauty in darker skin, lighter skin, white skin, any type of skin I see beauty in because, I don't know, I just don't, I'm not hung up on beauty as far as a skin being a certain skin color.
I think so, because there are men who will not date darker skinned women, and I think in the same token there are men who will not date lighter skinned women, and I think people just say, oh, that's what they prefer.
For light skin, I'm sorry, I prefer light skin. And
so if you see a beautiful dark skinned girl, nice hair, nice figure, educated, got her own plans in life, got her own money, and then you see a light skinned girl that I guess generally has the same thing, but you're more attractive, to the dark-skinned face or whatever. Would you date her? Wait,
you said I'm more attracted to the dark-skinned face?
I'm sorry. Would you be, if you're more attracted to the light-skinned, but the dark-skinned girl has the same things going for her, and she's an attractive young lady, you would still go for that light-skinned girl?
Yeah.
Really, I don't have a thought. Like, if they don't like the way I look, then that's just that. So, I'm not afraid of or care about a man if they only date darker skin or this or that, because if they say that, then they're obviously not for me if they have preference on what is beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's not
preference.
Dark skin, but I would date light skin.
I'm not really big on the whole skin color of like, oh, they gotta be, light skin and curly hair so I can have my babies can have curly hair. I'm not really big on that, how that is, but